start, chief?
That's a good question.
Where you want to start, Ms. Fay? Administration?
Yes, and it's, what Donnie has is this,
This right here?
yes,
Okay.
that I just copied out of it. What I have in there is something else.
So do you wanna go one at a time through them, or do you wanna just do an overview?
Have you got a budget like we got, you want to start 3,300 then work through it, or how do you want?
3310.
3,310. Well,
Hey Randy,
Hey,
how you doing?
Oh, fine. Woke up, got me out of bed to go fill up a helicopter, and I got another one just landed. To fill it.
3,350. I'm in administration. 3,300. I'm supposed to be able to. There it is. You want to just, Randy, if you want to just leave your file.
Now, what I did, I made it, they're all exactly the same. This one is returned and signed and has a copy of the insurance policy on the back for the $1 million.
Okay.
So if you wanna look, they're all,
We want to be sure all the names and addresses and all are there.
they are.
On all of them.
They are.
Right.
We've even got email addresses on 100% of the people going into the new hangars already.
Okay.
I just gave Beverly a 6-page document with updates to do for names, phone numbers, and end numbers.
Okay.
So once she gets that updated, we'll tweak it.
Okay, so what she has all this information on it, on all of them?
Right.
And
Well,
you've got this on all those people?
Mhm.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, we're 100% on all the ones that
Okay.
are coming in new.
All right.
They got the slot drains in.
All right, good. We'll meet with her in a little bit then.
Oh, sweet.
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate you bringing that
Have a
over.
good day.
Sorry, Sheriff.
Let's go fill up another one.
So, basically on our budget this year, kind of back up, Miranda has been working diligently, looking over the last, 3 to 5 years, comparing numbers and looking at where we were at and where we are today. In doing so, comparing this overall budget with each one of the subsections of it. Bottom line is we've added 2.5% to our salaries for the increase. We have the software that's included in here, the computer software that we're in the process of upgrading. And then,
Wasn't that project we started last year?
Yes.
Okay.
This year.
so
This
that's
year, yeah.
carrying over from this year. The only other thing that we've added to any of the budgets is the SROs, where we've added one additional SRO to the school. Outside of that, we have made a few changes, and we'll start with 3310, I guess, and go through. Obviously, the salaries is increased. Again, that's the 2.5% increase in salaries. Our retirement, workers' comp, supplies and material, and tires. Some of the others actually we reduced, but those are the things that were increased.
The technical services, that's one where you put that in there from those computers that you got. Is that where the technical services come from? Is that just maintenance on the computers that?
No, the technical services covers stuff like Milner.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's another increase as well.
Okay.
One thing I used, but I maybe noticed that, that's why I put it in the spreadsheet, it calculates stuff like that. You gotta get 41,253, it should be 43,313. It's 7.65%.
43,313.
43,313. So that, that's a lot of words, and then 560.
Increase the bottom line to what? Okay.
$1,118,560.
Well, good morning.
Sorry, I thought it started at 10.
Yeah, you missed one this morning.
Yes.
Huh? It's not 10 yet.
We haven't done
Especially
that.
not in this, it's fine.
We're still on the first page.
It's all good.
All right, y'all got any questions on 3310? Everything look good at that point, other than that one correction? All right.
She's not gonna say it look good,
It's a looking.
It's a looking. Oh, man. Now, where we at? You wanna go to 3322 drug task force? Or do you wanna go to 3320 UPD?
but I've got 3323.
Yeah, we'll go UPD.
There's no changes to the task
Yeah,
force.
drug task force is.
Oh, okay.
And as you're aware, with the drug task force, we had a little pickup along the year with, grant situation.
Mhm.
And that has been freed up and we're good to go with that. So the money is starting to come back in on the drug task force grant.
Okay.
Again, 3223 is uniform patrol, criminal investigations, and court services. The salaries, with a 2.5% increase. Temporary employees, was increased from, 4,636 up to 21,000, which includes the bailiffs. What was it, 2 years ago, we actually increased, the board of commissioners, you guys voted to increase the salaries of the bailiffs. We had not changed since that happened. So with that increase in their salaries plus the increase in courts, that's where we come up with a 21,675. Overtime, huge increase in overtime, primarily because of being shorthanded on the road. Currently, we're about 12, 13 short, depends on what day it is. We've got 11 openings right now with the office. We've got one on light duty, one on medical leave, and then I've got one guy gone to serve the military for 9 months.
Are you, we've heard this from every other department head, but are you also having trouble hiring people, finding good
Absolutely.
people?
We will put out, we use a program that advertises our job openings. We can get probably 20 or 30 applicants. From there, we bring them in for testing and for physical agility. And we send out the invitation, we will get out of 20 or 30 that's qualified, we'll get maybe 5 or 6. And then by the time we do the testing and the physical agility, we narrow it down to 2 or 3. And by the time we finish with backgrounds, we're lucky to hire one.
It was creative, I saw, I think on Facebook, where you went over to North Georgia College and set up a job fair, or maybe it's
It
not
was
college.
a job fair.
So it sounds like you're getting creative in what you're doing.
We're having to try to do things a little different to get those applicants in. We are working closely with North Georgia. They run a program over there, and we are actually bringing them over here to do some firearms qualifications on our range, because once they graduate over there, they're certified. So our thought is that we can get them coming over and spend some time with us, it's going to help.
Absolutely.
Also, another area that I think has helped us tremendously has been having the training center here in Jasper.
Yes.
We are now in our second mandate academy. We just graduated 3 a few weeks ago from the last academy. We've got 4 in this academy. That gives us an opportunity to get to know those cadets that are going through from other agencies, and to help build those relationships. Out of last academy, I've already had, 2 contact us from Cherokee. Looks like one of those 2 has already turned in a notice that's come to work for us.
That's great.
It's nice to actually pull somebody from Cherokee since how we just lost to Cherokee.
Yeah, it's
So-
going in the right direction now.
Well, we hope to see that turn around just a little bit, so.
Absolutely. But that is, I wondered how that was going over there. It looks like an asset. I see
Yes.
the guys outside and,
You know, having them here helps us get people in. Again, it helps us with recruiting. But they're also teaching a lot of advanced intermediate classes. We just finished up with a week-long domestic violence class. We're scheduling another advanced domestic violence. We had, a few weeks ago, active shooter work in our schools where we were able to bring all the law enforcement together in the county to help prepare for a school shooting, should we have one or an active shooter. Next month, we schedule our final class on alert level 1, which will have every mandated officer that we have trained exactly the same and working together with other law enforcement in the county, so
That's
helping us to be a little more prepared, so. You know, we couldn't do it without the support of having the training center here and being able to do that training, so.
exactly. Very good.
But that's, again, I know the overtime has increased substantially in UPD, and those numbers are based on the last 3 years, and kind of where we're at today with our personnel. Of course, FICA has increased, workers' comp has increased, uniforms have increased about $9,000. One of the reasons on the uniforms is with some of our turnover. When we buy the vest, bulletproof vest for our deputies, we use a grant, and under that grant, we're required to allow those deputies, if they're going to another agency in law enforcement, to take that vest with them. Those vests cost us about $900 per vest, so they're pretty expensive. Repairs and maintenance has increased, and again, this is partially due to the age of the vehicles that we have. Currently, we're running, I mean, just to give you an idea, we've got 8 vehicles right now that's got, you know, over 230,000 miles on it that we're still having to run. We've got 96 model Crown Vics. I'm not sure on the mileage with it, but we still have a lot of the older vehicles that we're having to keep running, and we're spending quite a bit on vehicle maintenance.
What's your total fleet count?
Total. Let's see. Remember offhand what they were? I don't have the total number. I've got a list that I can give you. Or I can count them off if you want to, but I've got the list here. This first page of vehicles is from 1985 to 2011 models, and then our last sheet is 2015 through 2018.
How many vehicles per year are you able to get from the SPOS proceeds?
I can tell you we didn't have any vehicles, we've not ordered any vehicles this year. We've had 6 in the last 5 years that's been wrecked or engine blown or something that we've not replaced. I know the one that recently we had a wreck down on 515 where a lady T-boned one of the deputies. We have not replaced that, and that was 2015, and we ended up buying a $3,000 Crown Vic in its place, because we didn't have any funds in the capital outlay. We actually got that last year.
So basically, if you're able to hire these people in these positions that are open, are they positions that would need vehicles?
Some, at some point, we're gonna have to pick up a couple extra vehicles. You know, right now, we've got, like I said, we've got 11 positions, and that's scattered out throughout the agency. It's not just in uniform patrol.
Yeah.
But that lease you did last year was, we got 10 new vehicles, didn't we?
Was it 10?
Four-
It was 10.
Yeah,
4
and,
trucks and.
Right.
And those are all for
Cruise.
CPD. We've got multiples that are in CID that are over 200,000 miles right
Got
now.
nearly 300,000, we're still limping along.
And they're in UPD.
And the ones, yes, the ones we got last year, we did.
The new ones. We try to keep our newer vehicles on the road for uniform patrol, and then those are handed down to SROs or detectives or,
Yeah.
What we might want to consider on the next SPOS is, of course, keep the sheriff's department in, we might want to increase it just a little to the fact that, not only vehicles, but he's got some maintenance issues as we get into the budget, for the heating and air conditioning system on the jail. Those are timelined out, they've got to be replaced, and you're talking about, I'd say at least $100,000 or $150,000 to replace those 4 or 6 units you got on that
Absolutely.
building, so we
We're
need.
spending it out of our general budget right now.
Let's keep
We've
the
already-
maintenance on.
Mhm.
we spent, what, $30,000 on
Yes.
repairs for basic.
Our AC units this past year.
Like you said, we could bump that up on the SPOS, but that's gonna be out in the future.
We can probably, with Donnie's and their help, we probably get them things, keep them operational until the SPOS gets, if we can get the SPOS passed. And then go ahead and put that in, we need to go ahead and make preparations, because we gotta start working on the SPOS for the next, and go ahead and make that in preparation, because the building was moved in 2005, so the units are getting some age on them. I mean, you're talking about, what, 16 years? Time the SPOS gets around, it's gonna be about 18 years. If you can get approximately 20-year life cycle out of these big commercial units, you're doing good, and there's some big units there. And, so you're talking about, I'd say, how many units you got on it? Six on that building, if not more?
It's 6 or 8,
Yeah.
I'm almost positive.
And
And
I
we
can't
also have all
remember.
of our laundry units
Yeah.
that are really expensive to replace.
Yeah.
as
And
well.
then, I
And
mean,
kitchen
even
appliances.
things simple as hot water heaters.
Correct.
Those hot water heaters are thousands of dollars because of the size and the capacity.
Yeah.
And we've got probably 6 or 8 of those.
Yeah.
that we've
So it's
started
up,
replacing.
the jail itself is up for some retrofitting, I call it. And, so that needs to be integrated into the SPOS as we go forward. And I'm saying that to say this is the fact that, I understand that the sheriff's department has got some issues coming up, but we need to be a little proactive to the fact that maybe we can manipulate the SPOS, for lack of a better term, to help pay that and not put it on the backs of the property owners of this county
Yeah, in the general budget.
and the general budget.
So that would be good.
So if we can come up with a plan as we go forward, and that's, I mean, the jail, even though everybody still considers it, especially in my age group, considers it the new jail that they moved in 05, but it's getting time that we need to put some major bucks in it.
And you know, we're hearing that from like the library that had
Yeah.
the air conditioning go out and some of the older buildings. Yeah.
So,
So
that's a goal.
we can work on that.
Mhm.
And then outside of repairs and maintenance, and again, I mean, that includes the vehicles and some other things, the insurance, again, jumped up a little bit, as well as the gas and oil. That's some of the other thing in that budget.
These new units that you're buying, though, in the energy efficiency, they're a little bit better than these older stocks, so it should level out a little bit with the, where you kind of,
We have spent this year, repairs and maintenance, over $28,000 just in AC repairs. That's not actually replacing them, that's just keeping them repaired. Auto parts, we spent, over 100,000 in repairs for the vehicles, and then, again, that just continues.
So we just replaced the new transmission and engine of the vehicle too. So that's a costly expense that comes out.
washers and an oven go right over the jail. That was $18,000 with the washing machines and the oven.
Unbelievable.
It is a 24/7 operating building, so,
Oh, yeah.
And you think you wash a lot of clothes, come on.
yes.
I'll come help you.
At least you don't have to worry about getting the colors mixed up.
David washes mine, he says I get them mixed up.
All right, where we at now? 3326. Y'all have any more questions on 3323 under UPD, CID, and CSU? All right. Brings us down to 3326. Adult detention.
How many running now, Donna?
Average inmate population right now is around 100, roughly. And obviously it goes over a little more at times, but, I think one of the big issues with us with the jail is we are not housing the inmates like we were. I hated to see that happen, but, Rob and I actually sat down and talked to him a little bit before we made that decision to send them back, but we had 2 and 3, we were doing the transports to and from Sandy Springs. When it started out, we would go down and pick up those inmates and bring them back, and we could also do our other transport for the day. But it got to where the judge was requiring our guys, and again, it would take at least 2, we'd go down to Sandy Springs early in the morning, and we would sit there all day long, 2 or 3 days a week to pick up our inmates. So basically, we were being, felt like we were being used as bailiffs, I guess, for the other courts. And I'm not knocking Sandy Springs. Sometimes maybe it was just the way things worked out. But either way, we were having to tie those 2 employees at Sandy Springs all day on transport days.
And
And
that,
we were running Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so.
that made it just not quite worth it.
When we were tying up those 2 on the road and the number of deputies that we were short, we had to really make a tough decision on, trying to cover the calls for service in the courts with those other staff members instead of having them sit down at Sandy Springs.
How much did that take out of you? Faye, you know how much that took off his revenue line when that happened?
It was 400.
530.
So, that was a big deal.
But was that all profit, or did that consider that we had to feed them and that kind of?
That was just the revenue.
Just for it.
And we definitely would not be opposed to, entering into another agreement either with Sandy Springs if they, were able to, or another county, once we get our staffing and things squared away. If we're able to, I definitely wouldn't mind trying to create some more revenue, but it's not in this budget. So, again, we're looking at overtime, increase due to the shortages, group insurance, FICA, retirement contributions, defined comp, our technical services, which is the upgrade in the computer system that we discussed, repairs and maintenance is going up from 31,000 to 65,000. Again, we're looking at the numbers over the last 3 years and just trying to figure out some of those big items. Supplies, materials, of course, our water and electricity are 2 areas that we continue year after year being short on. We increase those line items to bring that up.
Tell me about that, upgrade in the computers. I remember we talked about that.
Basically, we went from we're still using the Eagle system, which has been our records management system for the sheriff's office the last 25 years. There's very few updates to that system, and it's basically the same system we contracted with 25 years ago.
Okay.
We have switched over from the Eagle system over to Caliber, and which is the same system that y'all currently use in the 911 center. So tying the sheriff's office and all the public safety agencies, including 911 together, impact for us.
That's
It
what I
gives,
was trying to remember. I remembered that it was a benefit in that way, so.
it will also help us on some areas that we've seen in the last several years dealing with some pretty high liability areas. So when the deputies are dispatched, that information definitely goes from wherever the 911 operators key it into their CAD system, they can see that. And then when the deputy answers a call, or they're trying to respond to the call, now they can actually see the address, they can pull up the mapping that the 911 center has, which will help us increase our, hopefully, response times a little bit. The deputies will have access to GCIC in their cars, so they can run the information and see real time what's going on, which is an officer safety issue. And then when the deputy answers the call, and then if he makes an arrest, or she makes an arrest and transports them to the jail, all that information flows from the original call all the way through the system back into the jail. If we, say, had a call where somebody was threatening suicide, the deputies get out and they make an arrest on that because of domestic or simple battery. When they get them to the jail, they're going to be flagged at the jail as, you know, regardless of what the arrest was. As soon as they go in the system, the jail will be flagged and know that, you know, this guy had a potential suicide issue. And then if he comes back 6 months from now, he will still be flagged as a potential suicide risk. So, will help us on that side.
And if y'all remember, I just think we put together back last year, the $117,695 from his technical services, something was gonna be paid out of the revenue that he would get from keeping inmates. So now we're to the point where, does he have anything, is there any monies in the SPOS? I know he gets 4% of the SPOS revenues, but where's he at on that? And could this be part of that?
Well, he has a capital lease payment that has, for those cars.
Mm-hmm.
And that payment, I think, is around $38,000 a quarter. So he does have a little bit extra built up in his SPOS, but we have to leave enough in there to accommodate that payment. But now, the system that they're talking about, the communication system, the fire and EMS services also incorporated that system.
Correct.
And Sloan needed, I think his amount was around 70 to 80,000.
Right.
So what we have paid already, Sloan had 150,000 of his lost money that was to go to 911. So he used that for his communication software.
For Donnie's, for sheriff's
He
communication.
used what he was buying to pay for his, and then he gave Donnie the balance of that 150, which paid, I think, around 70,000. So we did pay that much out of SPOS, and then the rest of it came out of the general fund.
We also pulled about 50 out of our SPOS.
Yes, we did.
And then pulling 37,000 out of the jail fund, and then also we're pulling another nearly 20,000 out of the inmate funds. Because again, this is software that's going to be used for the jail and for the inmates.
So that leaves that balance of the 117,965, or is that
Well,
for other things?
117 is what is the amount that will have to be paid on that system next year,
Next.
during this budget year.
And then the maintenance fees will go up just a little bit from where we're at with the Eagle system, but not a whole lot.
So the 117 is just a one-time thing, so once after this year, it won't be a reoccurring thing. It's just,
Okay.
yeah.
And again, it'll also let us communicate with fire, EMS, and everybody's on the same.
It's gonna streamline it, and I think Jasper Police Department is actually looking at upgrading their system to the same thing, so everybody will be on top of each other.
Awesome. That'd be
It's,
really awesome.
yeah, and all of the systems that we are currently incorporating with this new software system, they all talk to each other. So like you say, when someone goes into the system, it's gonna flag all of the systems. So, I mean, it's really a huge thing for the county.
Colossus is the name of the communication system.
It was Interact, but they changed, it's the same company, I understand, they just changed their name to
Colossus is their
Colossus.
incorporated
Same
name,
people.
but the software is like Caliber, yeah, so it's like three different names. Same people there.
And we're actually finishing up with our second day of training or third day of training.
It's no third day.
So we're getting ready to really get that rolled out.
Our go live date was 12/3, so. someone should be going live.
Your professional services, is that, what all does that encompass?
That is for our inmate medical
Oh, that's
and a couple of other smaller things that we have.
And we're going about 21,000 a month and like that.
And you'll see on that, the repairs and maintenance as well has increased in 33.6, and that's mainly due to the 3-year history that we have. And those numbers for the past 3 years and the money that we've spent on repairs thus far. So until we start really replacing those, I think that that's gonna be an ongoing issue.
And two, we came in for the last several years trying to really keep everything as low as we could and lowballed a lot of these numbers for the last several years. And, last year we went over, a year before, I think we were close, but, I just did not want to come in and continue lowballing these numbers. Wanted to make sure that we give you guys a fair and accurate, budget, and we can kind of work from there.
All right, any further?
There's a few, like on each one of them, there's a little bit of discrepancy in the FICA amounts. And, when I went through and changed all those, corrected those, the increase is 669, 262. I guess my one question is, on the salary line, you budgeted all the open positions?
Yes.
So, like in uniform patrol, if you budget all the open positions, you think you'll still need 105,000 in overtime? Or, because I know in the past when the positions were not filled, that's what made the overtime line
Right.
go, I mean,
Well, obviously, the overtime is, it costs us more to bring in somebody and pay them overtime than it does a deputy. So if we can fill these positions, then I would say our overtime can be reduced. If we can't fill the positions, then we can reduce some of the salary. My question is, how much of what do we reduce?
again, that's what I was saying, you're putting like, kind of like the maximum on
Right,
both lines.
absolutely.
So that's really,
And I think
Because
that
with
gives
this-
us a little wiggle room on
Yeah.
the salaries and overtime, trying to figure out a good happy medium there on that, but.
with this amount of increase and then the amount of decrease in revenue, that's 1,199,000. It's almost 1.2 million, so it's quite a,
That's a mill.
We gotta do some, what if we took out, maybe made 1/2 of the people that that he's trying to hire, and then just do budget amendments if we have to, as those people get hired? Would that be that would help?
that would give you one people.
I'll get you those numbers, and we'll look at it.
6 or 7.
That might help that bottom line a little better.
When you're talking about the amount of the increase, one thing that you have to keep in mind is, or you may have that figured differently on the SROs. When we, because 70% of that is paid back by the Board of Education, with the exception of the additional employee that we have included this year.
And how much will that employee, do you have an amount?
70% of 203,064 on the requested budget.
And that's, sir,
7% of, 3350 is what he's looking at here. And you're looking at the salaries of 511100 is 203,064 is requested budget for 2019.
I think it's 70% of the.
The overall budget for SRO. So the increase with the extra person is on average around $55,000.
And it's.
Of
That's
increase.
including
benefits. That's
That's
included.
including benefits, that's including FICA. Yes, that is included in here. So basically what we did was just took that bottom number and took that 50,000, however much it was, out of it, and then used the 70% that of the remaining balance that was on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the 7%'s already been removed from this.
Yes, so the revenue back from the board vet is 282,851.
Yeah.
It's on, the revenue pages in the packet.
which if approved, would be a total increase of right at 500. Taking out the board's revenue.
You're factoring in the overall revenue, but revenues, the overall?
Yeah, the 154 and 282. Let's see, your revenue from school resource officers this year is. It's around 255. So that does increase about 27,000.
And I think we can get with Faye and take a look at those numbers with the overtime and the salaries. Make some
I would,
adjustments on that.
Of course, it's just one of the first meetings, but if y'all would, if y'all could schedule some time along with Faye and her, I think y'all just sit down and lay this stuff out, because 1.1, for us to convince the public of Pickens County, is gonna be a hard pill for everybody to swallow. We need to really, if we can, all sit down together and really tweak this thing
Again,
in.
you say 1.1, which includes the revenues that
That we lost.
The increase in
Yeah.
revenue.
You gotta calculate the revenues that you lost, plus what you're wanting for an increase is gonna be 1.1 million. Bottom line for next year, that we would have to, as three commissioners, would have to more or less have to come amongst ourselves and come up with an agreement that we're gonna raise the millage rate at least by 1 mil next year. I don't know about that. We need to really take a strong look and see what we can do to go forward with this budget. Maybe sit down with our financials, with our financial group and see if we can work something out as we go forward and make it, make it palatable for the taxpayers.
I agree, but also think that we need to start planning on working together more often and not just waiting on budget time to
That's
figure
correct.
out how we're gonna make things work. Because, with the increase that we've asked for, again, outside of the $117,000 for the upgrade on the software and the computer system, it's things that we have no control over, and again, we're more than willing to cut, but I can't cut employees, and I can't cut, the services that we've had. Our guys are doing everything that they can do to keep up, and our call volume, 37,000 calls this year. I mean, that's huge.
It is.
So, again, we're not coming in presenting you guys with this big increase and saying, well, this is what it's gotta be. I'm asking that we work together and figure out a way to make it work for us and not have to cut, some of the services that we're trying to provide. And that we be able to, you're talking about the SPOS, if we had the SPOS now, a bigger portion of that, we wouldn't be asking for the increase that we're asking for. So, and again, we're not even talking about vehicles, asking for vehicles. We asked for them last year, we cut them. We're looking at the increase that we've got to have because the areas that we have no control over. I'm not even asking to address that at this time, but we've got to do something.
Would that number look like if you took out those 14 people's salary? Maybe like 2 or 3, is that gonna be a very substantial number?
Well, what I put together, just using our personnel master that we had at the time, which was I think I ran this October 2nd or something, using those figures, 2.5%, and accommodating for the overage and overtime line that we've had the past couple of years, it still comes up to over $400,000, the one that I proposed. I think it was 403 or something.
Did you
And
have?
I thought that was maybe realistic.
But now, what you worked up, we actually went back and cut a part of that in certain line items,
It's
so.
the salaries is the huge difference that you have, so if we don't incorporate them in the beginning, we'll be over budget. Or you guys will have to do a budget amendment throughout the year at some point, so.
And just 400,000, include the lots of revenue from savings funds, did you have that for?
No,
And if you.
that's an increase in revenue, so it'd still be, the net would still be almost $1 million.
Even the way you figured it, it would still be almost. I was thinking it was a lesser number.
Let's go ahead and get lined up as far as getting together and see what you can come up with. Fade and be brainstorming there and just see what we can.
I was looking at I was comparing our personnel master to to what you had, and, even the way I worked out, we probably would need a little bit of tweaking if we had adjusted existing, because some of them are categorized, like, Kay Blackwell, you had her in admin, and she's on the personnel master in the, you know, there's just some changes.
The
around
idea,
it.
yeah, I get you.
So that could make your, because that's where the expenditures are actually charged, wherever they are in personnel master. So
Right.
if you're budgeting in one place and they're in our system and in another function, then that would make the numbers off too. So we can look at that also.
So you're thinking they get together with Faye and see what happens,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we can
What do
recommend.
what do we need to come up with then? We need I mean, really.
What are we shooting for?
Well, I can tell you off the top of my head what we're shooting for, and I'm just gonna put it out there, to keep from having to raise the millage rate, we're gonna have to stay around $300,000. And that's a big increase in itself when you start talking to the public. But, you know, if we can make some adjustments, we can look at that, we can plan toward this SPOS. And we're hopefully, with you and Faye and the girls working together, we've come up with a plan to bring this thing forward. But I just don't, I think it's gonna be a tough road to hoe, and you're trying to, you know, asking the public to come up with some more money next year.
I think it'd also be tough to ask the public to understand that we're not gonna be running as many people out on the road. We're not, tell the judges that we're not gonna be able to have as many courts, and everything we do, and I shared with you the overall chart, and, you know, 93 people sounds like a lot until you start looking at having 6 in the school system. You're having, you know, 8 or 9 have to work in the courts, and, you know, the number that it takes to run the jails. And we're only running 4 deputies on the road at a time right now. We'll do whatever we gotta do. And my commitment to y'all and to the community is, you know, we're willing to work, but we cannot cut personnel.
What are the 6 in the school? I didn't realize, what are their positions? What do they do?
They're certified deputies working in the schools. We've got Shane Paget and Kevin Roach is working at the high school.
And what do they do? Just patrol, traffic?
They do traffic, they do general security, they deal with your thefts, your fights, your vaping, your
Okay.
number, quite a bit that they're doing. And again, I'll be glad to send you some numbers and let you see exactly. They're working on the ball games, they're working, you know, we, unfortunately, just like the courthouse, we're living in a time that we have to have deputies in our schools. same way with the courthouse. You know, I'd love to go back to what we used to do and not search people and scan them when they come in, but, that's that's just not an option.
So then you have two at the high school and,
Had two at the high school, I've got one at the junior high, I've got, one at the, middle school, and then I've got one that looks after the, elementary schools.
and does the school system pay anything for that
They're
service?
paying 70% of the budget from what we're presenting
Oh,
today.
okay, good.
You know, we're talking about, I mean, just little things like the courthouse, the scanning. I've had, you know, we scanned this year to date over 53,000 people coming in and out of the courthouse,
Wow.
which resulted in 459 weapon seized from people that was going into court. I know we just talk about the money when we're talking about the budget, but again, I'll be glad to share the numbers and see exactly what's going on and why we require the number of staff that we have. So,
That number's not increased though, how many years?
no, we have not increased staffing in 10 years. But our call volume's doubled, our arrest is doubled, everything else is. And again, I know I'll go back to what you said the other day is we have to do more with less. Well, we're doing a lot more today than we've ever done with a whole lot less. I mean, it's, you know, we just don't know how much more I can keep putting on the backs of the employees and expecting them to pull in their 3 12-hour shifts and then come back in and pull 1 or 2 more and pay them overtime because we don't have the staff.
If you knew you were getting an increase in the SPOS, would you be able to sort of get through until that time? You said what I'm asking, would you be able to make the next couple of years work?
We're going to have it when it comes to vehicles. I don't think that there's gonna be another option unless you incorporate it into the general budget for our vehicles, which is gonna be pushing it really, I mean, because we've got 25 vehicles that have their.
So there's no vehicles in this budget, all your vehicles are coming out of SPOS right now anyway.
Yeah.
And there's not going to be any money in SPOS to buy any more vehicles.
So we've got to come up with some sort of replacement plan for vehicles and the building and all of the other capital.
How much do we have left in SPOS, do we know?
You've got one in that school resource budget, but you only need that one in, correct? Okay.
How much more money will they get in SPOS for the rest of the SPOS time?
Yes, I can't remember exactly how much they get each.
I don't know why you keep putting all those numbers in.
I know.
It's about $10,000 to $11,000 a month, isn't it?
It is. So we might get one further out of it.
You might get one, yeah.
Yeah, because they still have to do that the capital lease,
Mhm.
because that will go through June of 2020.
Okay.
That lease will be.
From the original 10 cars they got last year.
Which makes it hard because we don't have a contingency on them either anywhere in our budget. So if anything happens, it's kind of,
You have another snowstorm, another hurricane come through.
And that's a lot of our overtime. If we have storms or inclement weather, that's when a lot of the overtime comes into play.
And y'all the same way, I mean, you road department guys have to come in and work, and we all work very closely and do what we have to do, but
Well, we just need to sit down, get our financial people together, see if we come up with a plan, one way or the other. Any other questions? All right, guys. Thank you very much. We'll be in contact very soon.
have you got any ideas on timeframe or what you wanna do or how soon?
We need to do it pretty quickly, because we've got to
This is-
advertise this in November.
You let us know when we'll be here when you're ready.
Yeah, we got meetings this afternoon, bunch of meetings this afternoon. We could do today, but,
Be available tomorrow, you think?
maybe we could do it
Be
here.
available tomorrow?
Are you available?
I'll make sure I'm available.
Let's do it in the morning,
Okay.
about 9, is that okay?
Sounds good.
Thanks, guys.
Well, thanks.
I'll give that back to you.
What we got next? Next bit.
Okay.